Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Today's show sponsored by RexMD. If you haven't already gotten started, go to rexmd.com/chat, the #1 leader in men's telehealth. Simple as this. If you have a hard time getting hard, RexMD is going to help you out. So rexmd.com/chat. Coming up here on today's News and Rumors show, we're going to look at Josh Jacobs. We're going to talk about Nate Hobbs because I've been getting asked a lot, hey, what's the latest around those two players in terms of injuries? Derek Carr haters, look away. A lot of really cool stats here. And then the updated NFL draft order after Week 12. Before we get into all of that news, the Las Vegas Raiders have placed Anthony Averett on IR, ending his season. He suffered a toe injury this past week. That also means that the Silver and Black, they have promoted Tyler Hall from the practice squad, who I've actually been quite impressed with over his past 2 games with the team. Averett was signed this offseason after having a career year in 2021. Let's face it, it's been bad, man. I don't know if it's the Damon Arnett hair. I don't know what it is, but this guy's not going to be coming back. He was a bad fit on this defense, but I do wish him the best of luck in the future. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so and turn on those notifications because I don't want you to be the dude 2 weeks from now. Heck, next week, wondering, where the hell's Anthony Averett? Here at the Raiders Report, we keep you up to date. We like to have a little bit of fun as well, and all of our videos are 100% full free. Let's talk about Josh Jacobs. This is probably the reason why you clicked on today's Raiders Report video, and the injury update around him is he's dealing with a calf strain, and we knew that he was dealing with a calf strain entering the Week 12 game up against the Seattle Seahawks. He was okay on Wednesday. He was okay on Thursday, but he tweaked it from what I understand, and I don't know if it bothered him all that much because he looked like he was okay, totaling a 303 total yards of offense. From what I understand, he's more than likely not going to practice the entire week. So do not panic because I was also told that the Raiders, they expect him to play up against the Chargers. So when you look at that Raiders injury report, when that thing comes out, you're like, oh no, he's not there Wednesday. Oh no, he's not there Thursday. You're hoping that he's maybe a limited participant on Friday. Here's the thing, though. Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, they know that this guy's important. They know that he's realistically right now your entire offense, at least your focal point. And I would call him King Jacobs if I was all y'all because he is unbelievable right now. The game that he had against Seattle, he was the first player since 1950 with 225 rushing yards and 70 receiving yards in a single game, in the same game. Really, really impressive. And if he's doing that on a calf strain, I don't know, maybe it's like MJ with the flu. If Jacobs got a calf strain, he's going to be a lot better. Here's my question, though, because this is what the Raiders Report tries to do. It gives you an opportunity to get a voice and express those concerns in the comments. We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's video, so you're going to get hit with a YouTube ad break while you're getting hit. Scroll on down. Let me know, how concerned are you about Josh Jacobs' calf injury? Scale it from 1 to 10. I'm going to go with a 3, and the reason why it's a 3 for me is I'm not overly worried because from what I understand, he is going to be playing this week against the Chargers. You can always suffer a setback, but the reason why the Raiders are going to be cautious this week is because the setback would then technically have to happen in Sunday warm-ups, but he's going to go out there and play. The reason why it's not 0 is because it's Josh Jacobs. That's the reason. He is more important right now to your offense than Devontae Adams. I make the argument he might be more important to your offense than Derek Carr. And if he doesn't need to practice, because I know he's going to be ready to go Sunday, this is a motivated man right now running with purpose. He is out there trying to get paid. And by all accounts, he's going to get paid. Right now, Josh Jacobs is responsible for 86. I'm going to say that again because this number, for those of you who don't realize how incredible that is, that's mind-blowingly good for Josh Jacobs. Maybe not so much for the other Raiders runners. But Jacobs is responsible for 86% of the Raiders' rush yards this season. So if he needs a breather this week, that's okay. I need him ready for Sunday to take down the Chargers. Can I get an FLAC in the chat? When you think about the 86%, I'm going to show you all some stats that are going to be pretty eye-popping. Here are the past 5 NFL rushing leaders and the percentage of team rushing yards. Last season, Jonathan Taylor was responsible for 71% of the Colts' rushing offense. Derrick Henry, 75. Henry, 69. Nice. Ezekiel Elliott, 73. Kareem Hunt, 70. You see how incredible that 86% number is for Josh Jacobs? Guess what? I got even more incredible numbers around Josh, but before I get there, I got to show some love to Rex MD. And if you haven't already gotten started with our awesome sponsor, go to rexmd.com/chat and 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage. It's a really, really awesome deal. So, fellas, do you sometimes lack confidence in the bedroom? We've all had those nights where we get too nervous or maybe had too much to drink. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift in drive when you need it the most. But have no fear, RexMD is here, spreading cheer even when you've had a few too many beers. RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored the Raiders Report to help you always be prepared. RexMD has made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all the men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. RexMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription. And they deliver it discreetly to your door. No waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance, and no co-pays. Take advantage of their best deal they've ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. Go to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra and Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for 90% off. Give the gift of pleasure this holiday season. I mean, let's face it, if you're a Raiders Report watcher, you know how our Sunday shows go. You know we have more than enough to drink. If an opportunity presents itself and Alex is like, hey, babe, I don't want to not be prepared. So shout out to RexMD to making sure that that never happens. Let's keep on talking about Josh Jacobs, who he seems like he's pretty hard to tackle right now. Giggity. Jacobs is, again, responsible for 86% of the Raiders' rushing yards this season. I don't only want to compare that to the running backs over the past 5 seasons that have led the NFL in rushing yards. Right now, I'm a believer because Jacobs not only leads the NFL in rushing yards, he also leads the NFL in total yards overall with 1,435. Therefore, putting him in that discussion for Offensive Player of the Year. Yeah, I said it. Jacobs deserves to be in that conversation for Offensive Player of the Year, and if the Raiders were actually good this season, he'd be number 1 in my eyes. I can't see how there's anybody else more dominant right now. In terms of the percentage, Offensive Player of the Year, hell, let's look at 2012. The year Adrian Peterson, the last time a running back won MVP, 80% of the Vikings rushing yards. That is how good. CJ 2K, 77%. DeMarco Murray, we got all sorts of big-time players. Josh is outperforming all of them right now. He's currently on pace to have 1,791 rushing yards this season. He is on pace for 2,293 total yards on the season. But not only is Josh just killing it, he's also approaching a very impressive record set by, I'll make the argument, probably the Raiders' greatest running back ever, Marcus Allen, which was set back in 1985 when Allen ran for 1,759 yards. Right now, hell, Jacobs at 1,159, 5th most all time in a single season. He is on pace to break Marcus Allen's record, and the Raiders are going to have one hell of a decision. Do you extend him? Do you franchise tag him? Or, which I might be worried about, they might just let him walk away. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, more injury news to discuss. This time it's going to be around cornerback Nate Hobbs, because man, oh man, I have been getting asked left and right, hey, what's happening with Hobbs here? So here's the thing. From what I understand, I'm going to give it a 3 just win babies chance that Nate Hobbs plays against the Los Angeles Chargers this upcoming week. If you don't know what that means, it means that I'm giving it a 75% chance for him to play. The reason why I say that, remember, Hobbs, he broke his hand week 5 against Kansas City. He actually ended up finishing up that game, and if it was up to him, I don't think he ever would have went on IR, but the Raiders were looking long-term. They know that he's going to be a cornerstone of the defense. They placed him on IR October 17th. He was designated to return this past week, and there were some people that thought, all right, he might have a chance to play, but if you all remember 2 weeks ago when I talked about the Hobbs injury, I said that I was told personally by a source that he was either going to come back week 12 or week 13. Week 12 has passed. So now we're here in week 13, right? Las Vegas does have a 21-day period to either activate Hobbs to the roster or place him back on IR. If they do place him back on IR, that would mean that his season is unfortunately over, but I think that he's going to be playing this upcoming week. So again, the Raiders, they're hopeful that Hobbs plays against the Chargers. Their plan all along was for him to be ready to go against LAC. Now, with the fact that the Raiders play on Sunday, and then they have a quick turnaround up against the Rams on that Thursday, maybe they elect again to keep him out so that way he plays Thursday. But if you do not play Nate Hobbs this upcoming week, and if the Raiders lose, think about this. Raiders lose this week to the Chargers, and then you win out the rest of your games, and you finish 9-8, your chances of making the playoffs are 11. So if you still believe that you got a shot to win, you got to play Nate Hobbs if he's ready to go. This is what Josh McDaniels had to say on Nate Hobbs. He's itching to get out there. So this is literally just a medical thing. There's obviously some things that we have to make sure we clear. Once we clear then I think we'll get him out there as soon as he's ready to roll. I believe he's ready to roll. I think McDaniels in that quote says if he wants to play, we just have to make sure it clears medical. Here's my question to the nation out there. Will Nate Hobbs play this week against the Chargers? If you believe he's going to play, I want you to spam play. If you're like, man, they're 4-7, then you can type sit. But I got just win, baby, on my mind. I got commitment to excellence. And I also got FLAC on my mind. Play that man. Let's talk about the quarterback, Derek Carr, coming up here next. And as Derek starting to pick up the Josh McDaniels system, I'll give this one to just win, babies. And I'll say people are talking. It's a coin flip to me. I will admit that Carr, to me, does look like he's a little bit more comfortable running the offense. He doesn't seem to be so afraid to switch things up when he needs to. The team is fighting hard. They're playing behind him. And it's a lot easier to say this because, let's face it, the Raiders have also won 2 games in a row. The reason why it's a little bit frustrating talking about this topic is because if you don't blow 17-point leads, instead of being 4-7, you're 7-4. But you know what? When you look at the numbers here, okay, this is Carr's stats by the month. In September, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 850 yards. Carr in October, 771 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. In November, 63.3% completion percentage, 1,109 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. These 2 interceptions, they came in the first 8 passes up against Seattle, and then what happened? Derek flipped a switch, and he went just full-on savage mode and really helped carry that Raiders offense, helped them get the 40 points. Yes, Josh was incredible, but Derek also had 3 really nice passing touchdowns. He was able to convert on huge first downs. DC, to me, looks like he might be getting it going here a little bit. And when you think about his numbers from a 17-game pace, I mean, if Carr ends the season with these numbers, right, 63% completion percentage, 4,219 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I do think that some people out there are going to be disappointed, and I don't blame you considering what we thought that this season was going to be. But realistically, if you're able to get close to 30 touchdowns and majority of the season you don't have Darren Waller, majority of the season you don't have Hunter Renfrow, 2 players that, let's face it, we all really, really thought were going to be huge contributors, well, maybe it's not so bad after all. So here's my next question. A lot of questions here on today's show, but when you got big players, I'm going to ask y'all how you're feeling. Do you want DC to be the Raiders quarterback next season? Honest question. Do you want DC to be the Raiders quarterback next season? Please type 4 for yes, or it's a 0 for no. Next topic of discussion here on the Raiders Report. Let's look at the 2023 NFL Draft. And if the season were to end today, this is what the top 10 picks would be, as y'all can see, sitting there at number 9. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. And a few weeks ago, the Raiders were number 2. Then last week, we were at 4. And now with another win, you're sitting there at 9. What I'm going to show y'all now are my top 10 prospects. And this is ranked based on how I evaluate the prospects overall. I still think that C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are probably going to be the top 2 picks in the draft because of their position. But when I really break it down, I think Will Anderson, Jalen Carter are clearly the top 2 players in this year's draft. I really like Miles Murphy, the edge rusher out of Clemson. Kelly Ringo, the cornerback from Georgia, is an absolute dog, and I'm not just saying that because he plays at Georgia. Also, Brian Breesy, really good player out of there at Clemson, the defensive tackle. Tyree Wilson, if you like athletic ability, the edge rusher from Texas Tech. And then Christian Gonzalez, cornerback from Oregon, leads the country right now, I believe, in pass breakups. Long, lanky, he's athletic. There is a lot of really good defensive talent in this year's draft, which why I say I get it. Some people want to be a little bit higher and they want to tank. I'm not team tank because there is nothing ever guaranteed when you look at the NFL draft. You can still find good defensive players. If the Raiders needed offense, this is probably one of the worst, weakest offensive drafts that I've seen in quite a bit. Defensively, though, there is some good defensive talent there, and if you're not going to be in that top 2, top 3 picks, well, as far as I'm concerned, when I look at a lot of that talent from the evaluation standpoint, there's not much difference to me personally from what I've evaluated so far from picks 5 to 15. There's not. There's not. So to me, if I know I'm not going to get one of those top 2 quarterbacks, I'm not tanking. I don't want to tank. Those wins, Victory Monday, there's nothing better. And if you want to try to change a culture, you want to try to show your fan base that you're committed to winning, and you want to inspire free agents, other players out there to come put that jersey on, rep that shield, the word tank should not even be in your vocabulary, which is why I'm going to say I am always going to be team no tank.